I say go ahead and quiet quit. No, seriously, this is not clickbait. I am actually here for the quiet quitting movement, but we need to talk about what I mean by that, because there's a lot of definitions of quiet quitting out there, and there are some things to take into consideration, but hear more about why I think you might want to quiet quit. Let's get into it. So this video is really going to be different than what I normally do. You're really just going to hear me kind of rant and give my thoughts on this, but let's talk about what quiet quitting is in my definition based off all the different ones. So I know the term has been around for about 6 months. I've thought about making this video for a long time, but have put it off because I really wanted to come up with my own thoughts on it. There are different levels of quiet quitting, right? Some people are using it more of what we would have just called boundaries back in the day and saying like, hey, I work during work, but no, I'm not staying late every night. I'm not taking on every extra project or raising my hand for every opportunity. I'm not checking my phone on weekends, etc. Like that makes sense. Then there's the do the absolute bare minimum and nothing more. And that sort of leans more towards what I'd call slacking off. I am more on the yes, have boundaries side of quiet quitting. You know, if your definition of quiet quitting is showing up late, not turning projects in on time, or doing subpar work on a project, right? Like getting a C instead of an A if it were graded in school, that's not quiet quitting. That's slacking off. Those are very big warning signs and triggers that we need a new job and we need one now or else we're gonna get fired. So that's not what I'm thinking of. I'm thinking more of this idea of like, yeah, letting work be work. And we'll get into it more in a minute. And just before we like get in further, I want to say, even like when I talk job searching and when I talk career, every company, every corporation, every industry has its own culture that the things I'm saying are going to vacillate and be different in those cultures. Quiet quitting at Google and quiet quitting for the state government in some cubicle, those are very different types of quiet quitting. If you really do just want to coast and like truly quiet quit and do the bare minimum, go work for your state government. I'm serious. If you're in the US, go work for your state government. You sign into a union in most jobs and they can't get rid of you. I know, because I used to have the coworker next door who did nothing. Watched TV in her office, didn't think a thing about it. Okay, so here's what I like about quiet quitting. And also I've said the phrase quiet quitting so much now, if this were a drinking game, we'd all be on the floor. But here's what I like about it. I like the essence of it. I like the idea of come to work, get your work done, do your best while you're there, and then go home, right? Like you should still want to have excellence in what you do, just as a human being. If you want to feel good about yourself, part of that is going, yeah, I'm really proud of what I did today. So yes, put in the work on the job you're actually doing. Don't half-ass it, do the actual work, but then have the boundaries of I'm okay going home and not having work be my life. See, that's what I don't like, the whole hustle for hustle's sake kind of culture. It doesn't work. Work is not supposed to be our lives. Work is supposed to be a part of our lives. You are supposed to be building a life, not a job. And so that's why I'm totally fine with this concept, because I want you to have a job that you like. I want you to have a job that you're happy to go to each day. I want you to feel fulfilled, but meaning making over a role is a totally separate video. Maybe I'll make that soon. Meaning making is different. Fulfilled doesn't need to be your life's calling in every second of your day at your job and that becomes everything. I was reading a bunch of articles on quiet quitting this morning, and one of them talked about how one person had made his work his focus so much that he was now divorced because of it. And I actually know people who have done this. I know people who made work their be-all end-all and they lost everything else in the process. I don't think that's what work is supposed to be. Work should be somewhere that you're happy to go, you enjoy what you do, you find some sort of meaning and fulfillment out of it, but it also then funds the rest of your life, that you get to go enjoy other parts of your life. Back in the day, I worked a job where a coworker in our department went on maternity leave. And I just have to add a caveat here. I've had many pregnant coworkers, so if you are a former coworker somehow watching this video and you're like, is it me? No, it's not. I'm gonna guess it's not you. But I had a pregnant coworker go on maternity leave, and another coworker in our department was so upset that that coworker didn't check in and didn't tell us what was going on with her. And I'm like, right, because we're her work people and she likes us when we're at work, but we're not at work. She's going and living her life, and that's okay. And I think that's okay for you too. Like, you should be good going to work, enjoying your coworkers. You might make friends there. I have friends from past jobs that I still stay in touch with. Like, great. But if you don't, and it's the place where you go and you enjoy the people while you're there and that's it, and then you go home and live the rest of your life, that's fine. That's actually why in my red flags video, I talk about the work hard, play hard culture, where it's like, we want you to work all day and go to happy hour at night and join the kickball league and all those things. And it's like, I don't need my work to be my life. So that aspect of quiet quitting, I'm totally fine with, and I think you all should consider it. Everyone told me I have to do this, but no one's seeing this. Like, why am I doing this? Some of the things we're taught that you're supposed to do to be like above and beyond don't really work. Also, I remember in college them talking about like, you know, you always wanted it. Business school very much makes you focus on you want to be CEO, you want to be president, etc. God forbid you get stuck in middle management. Oh, middle management. And then I got into the work world and I met people, right, that were in like technically middle management type roles, and they'd been in those roles 10 years. And I realized, oh, they're not stuck. They made a choice to be here because they've hit a point where they went, this makes enough money to satisfy me and my family, and I've got vacation time and I can hang out with my kids, and I like my coworkers enough at this area, and I understand the job I'm doing and I'm good at it, and this satisfies the life I want to have, so like, I'm good. And y'all, that's what we call contentment. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. Now, that's not for everybody. Some of you are like, but I don't want to be that. And that's fine. Go on and achieve. I'm in a job right now where I am not quiet quitting. Just again, in case anybody at my current work is watching, I'm not quiet quitting in my job, but I have done it in the past, which goes to my next point. If you're an overachiever and you're deciding to quiet quit, I'm gonna bet you're still going to do excellent at your job and above and beyond a lot of other people. The people I know who quiet quit and yet are really good at their jobs, they're still doing well. Like, I quiet quit a job, meaning that I quit volunteering for extra things, I quit taking on the extra responsibilities, and I just did my job and I did it well. And I still was the highest rated employee in our department. I know because my boss told me. You should still do good work. Don't slack off, do the good work, and I think you're still going to be fine. Again, nuances. I can already hear the comments coming of like, but you don't know my work, or in this kind of industry. Yeah. You figure out your version for yourself. Also, if you are brand new in a job and you're quiet quitting week 1 and it's not for the state government, then we have a problem. So, of course, be ambitious, do your best work, volunteer for extra things if they're interesting to you, but don't take on projects just for the sake of projects. Okay, so I mentioned before, there are some things we need to consider. Number 1, I know I've already said it 3 times, but I'm just gonna say it again. Still do the job you were asked to do at the best of your ability. Number 1, that's what you were called to do. You should do work while you're at work. And 2, when you're ready to move on, you are gonna need a recommendation. That's what some of these quiet quitters are not thinking about. You're still gonna need a recommendation from your boss. So if they're like, yeah, she really did an average job on everything, not gonna go well. Not going to be easy to get out. Number 2, consider if you're really okay with others being promoted above you. Depending on the way you quiet quit, you need to be okay with others getting promotions and you just being common in your role, just doing okay in your role, and people go, hey, Cassie, she's good at that job, we're just gonna leave her there, but we're gonna promote Sarah or John or whoever. Are you okay with that? If you are not okay with that, we are not in a position to quiet quit. And then if you are quiet quitting, I want you to really think about, why are you quiet quitting? It might be that you realized, I have let work become my life and I want my life back, so I'm setting boundaries. That's healthy. And you go, I enjoy what I do, but I'm keeping it in this time frame. Totally healthy, totally fine. But are you quiet quitting because you're burnt out? Are you quiet quitting because you don't like what you do anymore? Then you need to start looking for a new job. We need to start finding something else to do, something else that will invigorate us, get us ready for whatever that next step is going to be. So start working on your resume. Maybe this isn't time to quiet quit and it's the time to take on another project, so that recency bias is in your boss's mind and they give you a glowing recommendation when you do move on. Like, you need to be thinking through, why are you quiet quitting? And if it's because you're burnt out, if it's because you don't like work anymore, or you don't like the environment, we need to start looking for a new place to work, because quiet quitting is not going to be the answer. And then of course, there's that thing that people are starting to talk about, well, have been talking about, but the government's now like officially saying recession. And what comes with recession? Layoffs. And so that's why I'm saying still do the work you do with excellence, because if layoffs come, you don't want to be on that list. Keep those things in consideration. I'm not against quiet quitting in general. I think for certain people, it makes total sense. It totally works. I'm okay with it, but you really need to consider your situation. If you are at the point where you're like, yeah, it's because I need to move on, but I don't know what, I have a video on career experiments you can do that is not getting enough attention, but I think it'll really help you. You can grab that here, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.